Hey everyone and welcome. Today we are diving into a huge, and I mean huge, topic, money. You know, all that old advice, get a good job, save your money, buy a house, it's getting totally flipped on its head. So, what are the new rules for building wealth in a world that's basically rewriting the playbook? Let's get into it.
Our source material kicks things off with this bombshell. Seriously, this one idea that the traditional path to building wealth might actually be a trap is the entire reason we're even having this conversation. It forces you to question literally everything you've probably been taught about money.
So, to really get our heads around this, here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at why the old rules just don't work anymore. Then, we'll jump into the big debates, investing and housing. After that, we'll get into the mental game, your mindset, before we pull it all together into a real actionable plan.
All right, so let's dive right into the heart of the problem. That old saying, a penny saved is a penny earned? Well, today, that's being called a guaranteed way to lose. So how on earth did being a responsible saver become a financial trap?
Just let that sink in for a second. A guaranteed loss. What that means is the actual cash sitting in your bank account is buying you less and less stuff every single year. But why is this happening? And if just saving your money is the wrong move, what's the right one? And you know, a huge part of the problem just starts with simple awareness. Get this, a staggering 65% of Americans have absolutely no idea what they spent last month. You can't even begin to talk about saving or investing if you don't know where your money's going in the first place.
The big, technical reason for this is something called currency debasement. But honestly, it's a simple idea. Imagine you're trying to sell a coffee mug. Now, what if everyone at the table suddenly had unlimited stacks of paper to bid on it? The price of that mug would go through the roof, right? Not because the mug got better, but because the paper became worthless. Well, that's what's happening to our money.
Okay, so if saving is a losing game, then investing has to be the answer. But that's where things get really interesting, because how you invest is now one of the biggest fights in finance. Are you supposed to take the slow and steady path, or jump on the high-speed, high-risk highway?
So you've got two main camps. On one side, you have the classic tortoise, just passively investing in the stock market for the long haul. And on the other side, you have the hare, throwing money into newer, super volatile assets like crypto, believing the old way is just way too slow to get you anywhere today.
Let's look at the trade-offs, because they are massive. The S&P 500 gives you pretty solid returns over time, but can you handle watching your account drop by 25% without freaking out? Bitcoin, on the other hand, might offer these mind-blowing gains, but are you prepared to watch it crash by 70%? It makes it crystal clear. Your success isn't just about the math, it's about what your stomach can actually handle.
But maybe you're sitting there thinking, great, but I don't have a bunch of money to throw into either of those. Well, the source material suggests a third path. Take your first $1,000 and invest it in a skill. Learn about AI or digital marketing, something that makes you more valuable. Boost your income first, and then you'll have real money to invest later.
Next up, let's talk about another sacred cow of personal finance, buying a house. For generations, this was the American dream. But now it's one of the most heated financial debates out there.
This is the question that changes everything. The argument today is that we need to stop looking at the house we live in as some kind of amazing investment and start seeing it for what it really is, a huge ongoing expense.
Here's where it gets tricky. It's something called the mortgage illusion. See, when you get a 30-year loan, the bank structures it so they get paid their interest first. That means for the first, 15 or 20 years, almost your entire monthly payment is going straight to the bank's pocket, not into building your own wealth. You're basically a renter for 2 decades.
And that mortgage payment? Oh, that's just the cover charge. You've got property taxes that always go up, insurance premiums that seem to double overnight, and there's always something breaking that needs a $1,000 repair. All while your money is trapped in one single asset you can't easily sell in an emergency. It's totally illiquid.
And listen, this isn't just a theory. The wealthy are literally voting with their wallets. The number of millionaire renters has tripled in just the last few years. They are actively choosing to have financial freedom and access to their cash instead of being tied down.
Which brings us to what might be the most crucial piece of this entire puzzle, your own psychology. None of these strategies matter. None of them, if your mindset isn't wired for success. This is an internal game just as much as an external one. And it's no wonder our mindset is so fragile, because look at this. Money is the #1 source of stress for Americans. more than work, more than family, even more than our health. And all that stress, it leads to terrible decisions, like panic selling your investments right at the bottom of a market crash. So, how do you beat that stress? How do you take your emotions out of the driver's seat? Well, there's a really powerful system for this called dollar cost averaging. It's simple. You just invest a fixed amount of money, say $500, on the same day every single month, no matter what. It's a system, it's on autopilot, and it stops you from making decisions based on fear.
So the whole point is to build a system that's panic-proof. You need to know if you're investing for the next 5 years or the next 30. And here's a wild, kind of morbid fact to prove the point. Studies have found that the best-performing brokers' accounts often belong to people who've died, simply because they're not around to mess with them.
All right, we've torn down the old rules, we've looked at the new debates, we've talked about the psychology. So now, what do you actually do? How do you forge your own path forward? If you feel like you're stuck, especially if you're dealing with debt, here's a simple 4-step battle plan. Step 1, you have to get aware. Track every single dollar for 30 days. Step 2, cut back and be ruthless about it. Step 3, target your highest interest debt, like credit cards, and destroy it. And Step 4, shift your focus to making more money. But look, beyond all the spreadsheets and tactics, this is what it really comes down to. This is the real question. What does your ideal future actually feel like? Do you want to feel secure, free, adventurous? Your financial plan isn't about hitting some random number in a bank account. It's about funding the life you actually want to live.
And that really is the ultimate takeaway here. In this whole modern money debate, there is no single best strategy for everyone. The right path is the one that fits your goals, your personality, and the one that you can actually stick with for the long run. So the final question isn't, what's the smartest way to invest? It's, what kind of investor are you built to be?